Hi, everyone. My name is Nuno Betancourt. I'm the responsible for the IEEE Portugal Blockchain Group, and we are here together for another webinar. This is going to be our first this year. I know we're running a bit late, but we'll try to catch up and give you some more content during the year. This is included on the IEEE at Home blockchain series. This started during the pandemic, and we try to run at least 6 to 8 sessions per year. We've had better years and some not so good years, but I think we're getting on track right now again. So once again, thank you for coming. This session is also provided by the Work Package 9 Capacity Building on PRR project financed by the Portuguese Republic and the European Union. So this is like a joint venture with them. And Johannes will be discussing with us how it's been already 20 years and how we can take advantage of smart contracts, even though, like most of us know, there aren't so many companies or products using smart contracts as much as we would like. So this is something that can be improved. And he's going to discuss some of the projects, concrete examples, and analyze what type of projects beyond tokenization show some kind of promise in the future. So Johannes, he's the founder and CEO of Core Ledger AG. Which is a blockchain software company headquartered in Liechtenstein. He holds a PhD in theoretical chemistry from the Vienna University of Technology, and therefore, well, someone must have convinced him to change to blockchain because, or he had so many blockchain projects on chemistry. Yeah, I'll let you know when he speaks here. Since 2011, he's been a pioneer of blockchain technology in Switzerland and co-founded a number of startups, such as Bitcoin Swiss AG. With Core Ledger, he's pursuing a vision of integrating this new technology into everyday software solutions and industrial applications. So, Johannes, the stage is yours. You have until 5 to 4 or 3:55 to engage our audience. You can have Q&As in the end or in the middle, have a conversation. It's up to you. So I hope you enjoy it, and the stage is yours.
Thanks a lot, Nuno. Thanks for the introduction. Welcome, everyone. And I'm really happy to be here today and give a small lecture, actually, on blockchain use cases. I try to not make it appear too much of a lecture, but I'm an engineer. So a couple of things could be technical, but nonetheless, I talk about things of my past as well. Whenever I cannot hold back, so it could be quite enjoying. So, yeah, let me quickly share my screen. That looks good. You should now see yourself, and now my slides, right? Excellent, good. So yeah, by the way, I'm from Austria, so my English might sound might have a certain accent, right? Nuno has already said a couple of things about me. Yes, I'm a hodler of Bitcoin since 2011. I'm one of the earliest guys here in Crypto Valley, even before Crypto Valley in Switzerland was founded or given its name. Core Ledger is providing software technology. I come to that later. And yes, I had a very interesting start into blockchain technology with Bitcoin Swiss. That was at a time when it was regulatory totally uncertain if you would be allowed to do this business. First idea was to create an exchange. And by the way, I'm an engineer, therefore I do not like speculation, but nonetheless, I was attracted by the prospect of making a lot of money with an exchange. We quickly found out this wasn't possible regulatory wise. You need a banking license, but that's a different story. Anyway, yeah, I co-founded also a number of other blockchain startups, not all of them successful, I have to admit, but well, that's our life here. and I'm a chemist by training, so quantum chemistry, exactly, it's quantum physics in chemistry, but nonetheless. And I served quite some time as a consultant in mid-sized companies. Yeah, what do we do at college? We provide a platform which allows to integrate blockchain technology into industry business cases, which is really hard, I can tell you, because we picked the most difficult business segment. We could have said, we support speculation and trading, but to be frank, I didn't want that. So I always regarded blockchain as a tool, and luckily now it's becoming more and more of a tool being integrated into everyday life processes, which means, well, we succeeded in some way, right? But we were really, really early there, and it took us quite some years to get traction in the market. Anyway, what can a tool do? It's the same thing as adopting no, internet technology basically in the 2000s or a little bit earlier. Back then, a lot of things were done manually without any connectivity, etc. And then came all those startups with sometimes crazy ideas. But nonetheless, this new tool was integrated into existing business processes, and we do more or less the same. So we integrate blockchain technology as a tool into existing things, making business processes cheaper, more competitive, or creating entirely new products, etc. Or by going global, also accessing new customer segments. A lot of what we do is about data, because data has a value. Now, why did we create a blockchain platform? And I can tell you it was so much work. We invested almost now 15 million or something into building everything and porting it to different blockchain infrastructures, simply because when you use a software product, all you see and actually all you care about as a user is what you see on the front end. So it must be usable, it must be nice. Nobody, I have to try hard to avoid any bad words here. Nobody cares about what is underneath the surface. So this blockchain service layer, all those nice smart contracts, which engineers like me like to develop or flesh out in details, etc. Nobody wants to see those. And this is exactly what our platform provides, like a standardized layer, which allows industries to build something bespoke with a nice user interface and simplicity on top. We originally already anticipated that everything would start with an artifact on blockchain. I mean, even a token starts with an artifact, which is the token contract, right? So we said documentation is important. And I will show you a couple of use cases which use documentation. Actually, it's almost half of them, which we can now implement much easier than anybody else who tries to do the same with an ownable artifact like an NFT. There's a big difference between what we do with documents and what others do with NFTs. Of course, all those ownable stuff is also here, like decentralized accounting. This is where tokens come in. We even created some monsters like fragmentable non-fungible tokens, which is crazy, but well, technologically possible, right? Governance, rule sets, and things you have to implement in order to comply with regulation. This was clear from the very beginning that this would become an important pillar of any platform, any infrastructure component that supports blockchain technology. So we integrated it, and of course, we do some trading, actually increasing amount, and we even invented our own unique trading algorithm, which is called the token warp technology, like atomic swaps on steroids. Anyway, we built an operating system, so we call it TEOS, Token Economy Operating System, and it has now been ported to 5 different blockchains, 6. Markets, also very interesting. We learned a lot. So we started initially with startups because this is where the bright ideas are, which is true. But unfortunately, bright ideas do not automatically come with a lot of money. So we also found out the hard way that those with the nicest ideas don't have the money to pay for such projects. So spin-offs from larger companies are normally preferable. I mean, we are a for-profit organization, right? So Important in the spin-off segment is that there is deep industry expertise. This makes a huge difference. In 2000, when was it? 19? It was before COVID. No, okay, 18 maybe. No, it was 19. We had a customer who tokenized diamonds, but he had no idea how the diamond market works. So this could just fail. So industry expertise is very important. We sense it from the very beginning, actually, when we talk to potential clients, if they have industry expertise or not. And we do not necessarily talk them out of the idea, but ask the right questions so that we either guide them on a safe path or, yes, talk them out of it. I hate to see projects fail, to be frank. Yeah. Established companies or organizations, they are super hesitant to actually adopt this new technology. Sometimes because they already have existing vendors, so they just buy from those companies. If they are not offering blockchain technology, they do not buy blockchain technology, first up, or they are bound by regulation. And as you know, maybe from your own experience, regulation restricts a lot of or limits a lot of innovation in that sense. And this is more true with larger organizations than some small startups, which do not really have much to lose. Here we often build a prototype first, and when it gets bigger, we are involved in RFIs, RFQs, RFPs, so request for information, quote, and proposal. Very important to say, we do not just do blockchain development. I mean, we do not develop blockchains. We develop smart contracts or backends or APIs or entire platforms on blockchains that already exist. But most of our customers need consulting first. This is important because everybody thinks at the very beginning he has a very bright idea, but then we discover the one or the other hole in the concept. Sometimes the entire concept is hole. Yes, so good. Real world use cases, all except crypto. Because when I say crypto, I'm talking about cryptocurrencies, and the only use case you have with cryptocurrencies is speculation. And of course, you can use it for payment purposes, but that's it. And you can build an exchange. Now, even blockchains have changed a lot. I carry this slide in my slide decks since the very beginning, actually. And yeah, me being an engineer, it's clear that I say blockchain is essentially a database, which is true. I mean, it's a tool that you can use for various purposes, such as safely and forge proof, in a forge proof manner, recording all kinds of facts. We just say we record artifacts on blockchain, and even if we later refer to this artifact in order to change something, add some data, we call this an amendment, it is still a separate incident which is separately logged on blockchain. This is so far nice, but in the last couple of years, a lot of different blockchains have emerged. Everybody knows the great grandfather of all, Ethereum mainnet, of course, and EVM technology is quite widespread. But nonetheless, the concepts have changed. So Hyperledger was also one of the very first blockchains. I mean, their concept was being permissioned, and many people said, why do you not just use a database instead of that? There is a reason to use Hyperledger, even if it's permissioned. There is a reason to use permission blockchain in general. But nonetheless, that was one of those running jokes here. But the purpose of Hyperledger was entirely to be used for enterprises. Everybody knows Solana, I think, optimized for speed, transaction throughput. Not many people know Canton, except if you're working in the banking industry, because there this is a big name. So most US banks have in the one or the other way already explored working with Canton. And those who are actively participating in the stablecoin spree are now looking into Canton. Base, just a copycat essentially from EVM technology. Does anybody know R3 Quarter? I mean, also built for the banking industry. You see, there's a lot of business to be made from banks. The central banks even launched a project last year. No, that was already 2 years ago, in order to explore the possibility of using blockchain technology for cross-border payments. Hear that? I mean, the banks, the central banks. Now, internet computer is something totally different. It's not even a blockchain. I mean, even they say that it's a blockchain, but essentially they only store the last, I think, 10,000 blocks or something. And that's it. It's made for a high amount of data storage on chain, like 2 terabytes of data, which is pretty much. So you can store in a smart contract, I think now up to 600 gigabytes or something, and it doesn't cost a fortune. And it can also compete with Visa and MasterCard. So things have totally changed, and the emergence of new blockchain technology also reflects the need in the industry. So, of course, industry requirements change, therefore blockchain, well, somehow adapts to fit these needs. It's always a time lag of 3, 4, 5 years, because you see a need, you develop a concept and go live 3 or 4 years later. Anyway, I have a couple of interesting use cases for you, and I separate them into 3 different categories. The first category, obviously, light blue one, is everything around tokens, or let me be more general, everything that is an ownable artifact. There was a time when every new use case on the market has had something to do with tokens. As you now can see, the multiple ones, at least 3 of them. Yeah, we have an ownable artifact. Often there is an asset. I'm not talking about crypto, because crypto in general, like no, utility token issued by a blockchain protocol itself, like Ethereum, I mean Bitcoin, the great grandfather of everything, right? This is crypto, so there is no asset backing whatsoever. With modern use cases, people often try to bring some asset in whatever form, and even if it's intellectual property, right, which is in some form expressed by the token. There's a quantifiable value somehow. You can always calculate what it's worth. Yeah, mostly. And because there is some form of asset backing, you always have some regulatory challenges. Not always. Some countries make it easier than others. That's a good point, actually. I mean, in Switzerland, it's now, let's say, pretty easy. Regulatory clarity has been established 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. So it's pretty good now. I don't know how it's in Portugal. I hope good, fingers crossed. So regulatory clarity actually is really good, because not having any regulatory regime whatsoever is a big hurdle. We saw that in the UK in the very beginning. So 2014, when we started trading in Bitcoin Swiss, I mean, okay, it started already in 2013, but 14, it really took off. 15, it exploded. We tried to have a subsidiary in the UK, and it wasn't a good idea to do that, because it was not regulated territory, which means everything could happen. From today to tomorrow, regulation could actually quash an entire business model. Therefore, we didn't do it. Anyway, normally, even with a token use case, there is a business model. Okay, that was wrong. I mean, essentially, every token business model should even work in the absence of a token. If it does not, you made something wrong. If the token augments the business model, makes it smooth, faster, etc., then you're on the right track. Anyway, let's focus on the second one, which is a trust case. Here we have no token. Sometimes people call whatever they create on blockchain a token, but nonetheless, it's normally not ownable. So it's some kind of artifact, something that proves whatever you want to prove. And the case is entirely built on trust. Just imagine the magnitude of this in a time when AI can practically generate whatever you want, even videos. And proving that something is genuine, that has a value. We have seen that quite many times now in our business cases, in our customer projects. And what you can record on blockchain very nicely and transaction safely is the timestamp, some kind of content. If you cannot store the entire content on blockchain, then at least you store the hash. And of course, the author's signature. which proves that it was you who created that artifact and not somebody else. And also here, there is a business model. Instead of blockchain, you could use a normal database. You could use even paper and pen. Okay, that's not true. But you could replace blockchain technology with another technology. It is harder than with a token, but still possible. Here it's also speed and other things and security. So blockchains are built entirely on cryptographic security, and reproducing the same features with something custom built, something bespoke, is a lot of work. Therefore, blockchain technology is perfect for this purpose. Now, let's speak about the third case, the complex ones. So either there's one or many tokens. They are normally expensive projects. When they hit the road first, they are just an idea by actually influential stakeholders, and it also needs those influential stakeholders to work, such as, you will see that later, like a land registry. It's a very good idea, but if the government doesn't recognize the land register that you created, then that's it, right? So that's not the case. So you need support in the one or the other way from such influential stakeholders. Or let's just think about stablecoins, for example, stablecoin ecosystems. I mean, stablecoin needs to be regulatory approved, otherwise you cannot use that. So it must run in a regulatory regime where it's possible. When it's possible, you still need kind of an ecosystem that uses your stablecoin. You cannot just issue one. You need adopters and so forth. So this is what I mean with complex. We have a couple of those, and they always come with some regulatory hurdles. And by the way, we as Core Ledger, we are not capable of giving regulatory advice. I mean, we can give some ideas, maybe a little bit of guidance, right? But not officially. We can point out the potential issues and show red flags. And yeah, a business model is often difficult to describe. I mean, did you know, for example, that the business model? Hey, wait. Can we have some kind of voting here or something? Okay, that's complex, but maybe you can tell me later in the Q&A session. Does anybody know how Tether makes money? It's not the issuing of Tether. It's everybody knows Tether, right? USDT. So issuing the token and selling it at, let's say, a certain margin. No, that's not the business model. They need a lot of money as backing for the token in the form of treasuries, so USD bonds. And what they do is they do asset management with it. I mean, basically, they earn on the interest on these bonds and whatnot else. This is their business model, and they earn really a lot because they have a lot. So if you have, I don't know how many billions already under management, even a couple of percent per year is a killing. Right? So yeah, just some insights. Right? Good. Now let's see. I separated two things: financial and non-financial use cases. Let's look at the financial ones. Real estate tokenization. These were one of the very early use cases, and they are interesting but difficult to implement. Why? Because first of all, there's a lot of real estate. So when you read about some new idea to tokenize real estate, the argument is always because it's a huge market cap. That is true. But there are some difficulties. I can cover them later. Nonetheless, real estate tokenization is a dominant theme. And to be frank, there's still a large group of companies in the real estate sector that have never heard about blockchain technology and what you can, in theory, do with that. So this market is still kind of fresh. Nonetheless, you need a lot of know-how to get a real good token economy model going here. Tokenized equity, I would say the second most often implemented use case these days because it's simple. That's a possibility to fragment ownership. Same thing here, but here with an ownable artifact, right? So the easiest thing also to do real estate tokenization is kind of putting it in an SPV, special purpose vehicle, and tokenizing the equity. So most real estate projects are actually tokenized equity projects. Yeah, then there's tokenized commodities. I used gold as an example. Actually, I hate putting it in the context of commodities because gold is more than a commodity. But for everything that's right and proper in terms of the financial world, gold counts as a commodity. Most people try to let customers participate in gold ownership. Super difficult, actually. I will also give you an example on that later. We had one project that failed so spectacularly that I have to tell you why it failed. You will laugh. Somebody just unmuted. If there's an urgent question or some urgent remark, like, hey, your audio is bad, then please say something. Audio good? No, you're nodding.
Everything's fine, at least on
Excellent.
my side.
Good. I have you on the other screen here, so I see some movements in the corner of my eye. So I'm not always sure if it's like waving or just nodding. Anyway, let's continue here. So we have the stable coins. If you're aware of the Genius Act, this has triggered now an avalanche of stablecoin projects in the US, because all you need to do is you need to buy some treasuries, right, and then put them as an underlying under your stablecoin, and you're good to go. So I don't know how many projects are launching there, but it's many. And interestingly, just before the webinar started, I had a call with the potential customer, not yet signed up, who also wants to issue vouchers on products and services. Hasn't worked so well so far. This is basically a token on commodities. You can redeem it at some point. I think we are still some in a very early stage to really utilize that. What is very important is all kinds of micro rewards, payment savings, whatnot else. Why? Because blockchain technology saves a lot of transaction costs. So you can actually fragment things which wouldn't really make sense to be fragmented, like paying $50 kind of cross-border. You can easily do that with USDT. It doesn't cost a fortune. I mean, it depends on the blockchain where you are. It's Ethereum, then yeah, okay, then it costs something. But on most other blockchains, the transaction itself wouldn't cost anything. Do this with a bank transfer, $0.5. I think cross-border, I think it was like $12 or 20 just to send it. So therefore, everything micro is a huge use case for blockchain technology. We also implemented a project here. I mean, actually, we implemented projects in many of those areas. But actually, it was a micro saving, or is in the micro saving area, which allows people with only little savings to invest their little savings in fractionalized investment funds, because just buying one share would be much more than they earn. I mean, than they have as available amount for saving each month. That's really important. Another case would be, of course, if there are capital controls, you can easily escape them. Then there's the topic with cross-border finance and correspondent banking. This is what I said. The central banks launched a project which is about implementing exactly this and using blockchain technology to make payments faster and more reliable. I don't know how much you know about cross-border finance and correspondent banking, but it's a manual process. So at the moment, routes from one bank to the sender bank to the receiver bank, they are manually arranged. And I'm not talking about $100 payment or something. I'm talking about millions. And why is this case an important case? It essentially saves money. If it's small amounts that are transacted, then with each border crossing, it adds a fixed amount. So like $10 or $100 depends on the area or the country. Under sanctions, it's much more, right? But the amount that comes on top for the transaction fee itself is fixed and not a percentage of the payment. In other words, if you send a small amount, then the overall percentage of what you pay for the transaction is high. If you send a large amount, then it takes a while to reach the receiver, usually a couple of days. And if it takes a couple of days to reach the receiver, then you lose basically interest and a lot of other capital just on this time. You could save on that by making it faster. That's an important use case, really. Also, contracts and futures. This is now a documentation case, proving that contracts are genuine, proving that contracts have a certain start time and end time, which cannot be modified, rollover of contracts, etc. This is a documentation case. Of course, you can tokenize the whole thing, but it's not even necessary. So proving the authenticity of contracts is extremely important in commodity trading. Something else, which is a documentation thing, is the fragmented ownership. So that's clear. I mean, like it's a little bit like the land register, but it's on a private basis, right? That people arrange amongst themselves that they own a certain piece of whatever it is, asset. Land register already covered, so you need state support there. Then we have the storage certificates, which is a little bit like vouchers on products and services, but here a storage certificate is essentially not carrying any. I mean, it has a quantity, but that's on chain. Digital barter, location swap, here it becomes a little bit exotic. Actually, Core Ledger's own platform started with the idea of doing digital barter, but that's so long in the future still, because moving all those actors into using either the same system or at least the same principle of tokenization, yeah, this is education. I would estimate another 5, maybe 10 years. Decentralized marketplaces, okay, they are abundant now, and reconciliation can help a lot in accounting. So if you do I mean, if you record quantities, whatever it is, on blockchain, you have proof that these records exist. So you have an audit trail for whoever entered the data, etc. And reconciling between different subsidiaries really becomes much faster and easier because you're not hunting each individual piece of paper which might already have been lost. Well, still a little bit in the future, but nonetheless, we have already had a first project in that area. Now, second slide is about non-financial use cases. Actually, I spent so much time on the financial use cases, even though it's not my favorite. So non-financial with tokens is like access control, using an NFT or FT in order to unlock something. Metaverse is a classical topic, even though nobody speaks about that at the moment, but it will come back. I'm absolutely sure about it. Or voting or product rating and so forth, small use case. Social credit system has been touted quite often. I hate it, really, I hate it. But nonetheless, it's a possible use case. Game items, that is clear. The gaming industry is a huge industry. You should never forget that. So building something for gamers, okay, requires those who build it to be gamers themselves. But otherwise, you don't understand the industry. But it's a huge market, an important market. Yeah, data marketplaces, I think you can imagine. So it's intellectual property or something else. Data is an important commodity. Collectibles, that's clear. Intellectual property usage. Oh, we had one case in the past, which was about exactly this 3D printing runs. Good case, but it lacked adoption in the printer hardware manufacturing industry, so it died. But nonetheless, it's an important thing. IoT communication, now it gets a little bit alien, to be frank. Let me just continue. Damage documentation. Oh, right. So this can really save you a lot of money. Damage documentation. Keep in mind, you use blockchain technology because of its timestamp. So if you record something before something else happens, like an accident, then you can actually prove, it wasn't me, or some damage that was already on a car when I before I even put the key in and started the engine. The same thing with intellectual property, copyright protection, etc., or litigation. That could be super costly. I personally, I hate it really a lot, signing an NDA before somebody even tells me what we are speaking about. Normally, I would never sign an NDA which carries some contractual penalties, etc. If I ever do that, I haven't, then proving that I already owned a lot of data in advance, even something which could come under litigation, would really be key. I mean, sometimes such NDAs can really cost you a lot of a lot of money. The same thing is like notarization, but why is this a complex use case? It's the same like with land registry. I mean, you can notarize whatever you want, but if it's not recognized by the governments, boom, it doesn't help. Um, Good. Okay, now I spend a couple of minutes and then I give you the stage if you have any questions to talk about real-world asset tokenization. This goes in the direction of real estate, and I first and foremost explain why most of these projects do not work. Because if you compare two different types of tokens, one is the meme coin thing, which is not having any backing whatsoever. So Trump coin, for example, Melania coin. There's not much backing then out there, right? Or some whatever it is. Of course, yeah, blockchain protocol tokens. I mean, they are also not backed by anything except for the usage of this protocol. And this can drop as well if they change the algorithm, like what happened with Ethereum after introducing proof of stake. Okay, it has recovered. Anyway, so things that have no real measurable kind of backing. This is actually the better token to speculate in because you can never say what it's worth. So it can be anything between 0 and the moon. So if somebody wants to issue a token without any business model behind it, do that. Meme coin, that will work. If on the other side you say, you issue a token that is backed by some real value, the price of this token is always limited by the real asset. It can never go to the moon. It can go to 0, though, if the hotel burns down, for example, or if the business model fails. But for an investor, and I'm talking about regular crypto investors, this is totally boring. So the usual arguments like real world asset backing, this must be much better than thin air. Nah, it's not so. Investors can't lose everything. Yeah, most investors will not get in the first place, right? Motivation, like doing a successful token sale, that never helped. I said before, successful models would even work without a token. Anyway, I witnessed this tokenization craziness in the 2016s, 17th, and then when it went up to 19, it almost died. But nonetheless, some diehards still tried to do a token sale, and then, of course, for the lack of anything better, they tried to argue that there's a real-world asset backing behind it. This didn't work. Illiquid assets making liquid by tokenization, no, it didn't work, just didn't work. So if an asset is already illiquid, it will not get any more liquid, it will not get liquid through tokenization. The next big thing, no, it wasn't. And everyone is working on such a project. To be frank, there are a lot of people working on such projects, but with mixed success. It's hard, as I said. The challenge is you are still a pioneer if you do that. As I said, we are talking with a lot of people in the real estate sector right now, and they have never heard about tokenization, I mean, most of them. So whenever somebody touches it and uses it, they are a pioneer. Regulation is actually a pain because, first of all, the real world asset is already regulated. So real estate is regulated. If you have, if you tokenize equity, equity is a financial product, right? So it is regulated. And then the token regulation comes on top. So you're double regulated. Do you want that? It's hard to come by. But actually, we already devised nice tokenomics models which worked entirely with a utility token, even though there's some real world asset behind it, but not as a backing. Anyway, third party hurdles are there as well, and secondary market is key. So most, nobody will buy a token if he's trapped forever. That should be totally clear. So there must be a secondary market, but it's totally difficult to get some real-world asset-backed tokens on a secondary market. You have to provide your own, and this is a hard thing to do. And last slide I show here, and I think then I have 3 use cases which I want to show you as a practical example. So I'm always talking about product market fit because this is key. Whatever you have in mind, any of those aforementioned use cases or anything new, there are 2 different types of investors. One is the crypto investor, who is not necessarily a young boy here. I mean, even my dad, who is now 38, likes to speculate in crypto, right? But nonetheless, mostly they're younger guys. They like technology, they're crypto savvy, they like gambling. They accept totally the risk of losing everything, but they trade it for the chance of making a killing in profit. They like trading, and they have an issue with KYC and AML. It's just a whatever guts feeling thing. You don't want to provide too much data. Also, not any longer, but in the early days, a lot of people made untaxed gains on Bitcoin and Ether and whatnot else. So you didn't want to do any KYC AML when you invested in some other token. Right? The traditional investor is the absolute opposite. He has no problem even with a paper product. He wants to just make a conservative gain. Super skeptical about crypto. A bad reputation. They don't want to lose. They don't want to gamble. Okay, some want. And KYC is totally okay. Now, if we try to sell them crypto or meme coin or a real world asset token, then guess what happens? Crypto investor loves cryptos, meme coins, whatever, but he would never buy a real world asset token because it's boring. It doesn't move. Price cannot go up 100-fold. So no. Whereas the traditional investor will also normally not invest in crypto or meme coins because it's opposite to his investment strategy. But because it's new technology, he also will not invest in a real world asset token. So difficult to sell. I hope this is understandable. It's actually clear. So this is one of the reasons why most real world asset projects actually failed. Now let me jump to my use cases. So one of them was the promised gold-backed one, which failed spectacularly. Okay, not so spectacularly, but it failed. It failed because tokenizing gold means you're trying to move new technology into a super traditional market. People who buy gold want to buy physical gold. If they wanted to buy digital gold, they could just buy an ETF. So every argument to try to convince them, yeah, it's digital, but it's still in a bunker and whatnot else, didn't work. So in theory, such a case could work, and some do already work with a massive amount of marketing if you find the right buyer segment. So this is not about technology. This is about marketing it to the right people. And this was difficult. So difficult that they finally gave up the project, but it was beautiful. The other one is a very successful project, actually. That's microfinance. This is the investment case, fragmented funds. And this is really scaling a lot. I don't know how many users they already have, but it's in Sri Lanka. Very good area actually for micro saving, and have been ranked the second largest growing, fastest growing app last year. Let's see if they still make the market or even exceed it this year. And tokenizing equity, of course. I mean, there are a couple of companies doing exactly this because that's the next best thing to do, like Aktionariat here in Switzerland or tokenize it in Germany. So it's a wonder that that they thrive, but nonetheless, I mean, after all, it's still Germany, right? Highly regulated, but nonetheless, so this is actually a real use case, and the rest is super technical, so I skip that. Yeah, so I stop my sharing here and stop talking and let you talk. Any questions?
So thank you, Johan. I'm pretty sure there are some questions among the public. So maybe any question. I have several, but
oh God,
I would
I
like
talked too
you
long.
to.
I should have shut
I
up
would
like 10
like.
minutes ago.
Yeah, you just left too much time for Q&A. So feel free to or drop a question on the chat and I can make it to Johannes, or if you feel with just talking, just go ahead, open your mic and inside. I think everyone's still shy at the moment.
But there's
So,
somebody. But I
let
hear some
me check. There is somebody? Not yet.
background noise.
Yes. I had to move, well, funny story, but I'm outside. I had to come to a hotel to do the conference, so it doesn't matter. I couldn't get a quieter place. Well,
Hello?
hello.
Yes.
Are you hearing me?
Yes.
I have a question about your company's core ledger, right?
Mhm.
Do you have developers helping people on this transition to the blockchain?
Yes. Yes. We do everything from consulting to implementing to maintaining the solution. And I mean, we're in Switzerland, so we have only the core development here, and we partner with companies in much cheaper areas of Europe, so we can offer projects also at a budget, so to speak. Yes, we do.
Okay, so my question is, you know, the use of LLMs for coding
Mhm.
and exponential increase of those tools. How do those tools respond to the specific market of blockchain smart contract development? Do they are up to date? Do they have some use, or do you need specialized developers to write code for those applications?
Actually, I mean, the use of AI tools is really spreading also amongst our kin, which means we are also using it. And it's no wonder, because coding it by hand means you need to have a very, very detailed understanding of what you're doing. So creating tools that translate whatever kind of text you provide into code are of course, they are finding a very fertile market, so to speak. But what we also see is that complex instructions are not always transformed well into smart contract code. I mean, we humans can still do much better at. But that's the truth. So the more complex it gets, the more interaction you need. If you need API integration, like interfaces to other contracts, etc., then an AI tool is not really the best thing. But implementing an idea quickly, perfect. I don't know if you heard about Internet Computer before. They have a very good tool called Caffeine, and with Caffeine you can also just quickly create some contract. It's pretty good, actually. I mean, Claude can do something similar, of course, but yeah, yeah. Sorry for the long
What
answer.
about
I hope it answered your question.
yeah. What about auditing smart contracts because of the security issues?
This is a rich topic. Yeah, finding security issues. This is something that AI tools are very good at. We have also a company in our list of contractors that uses AI tools exactly for this verification. Whenever there's kind of a reason for doubt, is it a security issue or not, then a human takes over. But yeah, auditing is good. A very rich topic.
Right,
By the
thank
way,
you.
they are not taking our work away. They just make us more efficient, so we can code much more. This is very important. We love it. Yeah. Sorry. Go on.
Okay. So, more questions. Does anyone else have a question? Okay, I'm lingering to have some questions, so I think I'll just head directly to them. I would say that in the beginning, you start by saying you have the tool and that your tool allows you to have or develop the use cases. When will that tool be available with low code or no code or AI driven? I know that Alexandre did a question about the AI and LLMs. I think that maybe for LLMs, the smart contracts aren't so appealing yet because there isn't a large base of smart contracts to learn from, so it's difficult to get AI results from that. But there are lots of LLMs for NLPs that could handle the verbose thing. You could speak to it to kind of generate the contract. So how do you see this fitting, or how can those tools help your existing tool and making it like opening it, being able to open it to a large market that can interact with it without being blockchain expertise? Like you said, the front end is probably for people that have never heard of blockchain before. So how will those tools help your tool to get to those people and make everyone use your tool, for example?
Well, it's all about the front end. A lot of front ends that are used with Theos are, at least to some extent, AI built. And yes, of course, I mean, it's not necessarily always an LLM, but mostly it is simply because you feed it text, right? And it's not about learning something from a smart contract, but the other way around, interpreting whatever you're writing or even speaking sometimes and generating the proper code from it. So there's no way around employing an LLM there. I said LLM model. It's like whatever. Doesn't matter. You know what I mean. So yeah, it has an impact and it improves the usability to some extent. I mean, not always the outcome of whatever you do with AI is good. I mean, to be frank, often it's shit, but but we often use it for is creating templates, some intermediary things like results that already prove concept, right? And then you do the remainder yourself for integrating visuals into something that has already been made and so forth. So that's really good. It's like a worker kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it has an impact.
I have had some bad experiences, especially with call centers that use LLMs. I don't see those working that well at the moment. But I think it's a way of detracting people from using the call centers. So
Yes, if you want to lose your customers, then yeah. But I hate this as well, to be honest. I mean, everybody and his brother is using AI for everything. People are not even thinking any longer about what they are doing because just ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or whatnot else. Thinking pays off, I tell you. So this is my main message when it comes to AI. Yes, thinking
and
pays.
just one final question. So if people wanted to contact you or they wanted to present an idea how to be able to have their business on top of blockchain, how can you help them? So how can they go to Core Ledger? Where do they start? Who they speak to?
That is a very good point because I rushed the presentation, so I didn't show the last slide. Here are the contact details. Let me quickly show that so that we also have it in the presentation.
Okay.
I think that's the best. Just send us an email. Come on, sorry. Never do things in a rush. We have 3 minutes. I don't need so long.
While you're getting that slide, I was wondering also, when you study several blockchains, they usually have some kind of support for developers.
Mm-hmm.
So in what way does your tool differentiate itself from those, I'm not saying IDEs, but sort of that those blockchains try to promote to the developers?
Very good question. So actually, those tools that blockchains and blockchain foundations actually provide for their developers, communities, whatnot else, they are meant to develop smart contracts in most cases. What we do is one layer on top of that. So we already have smart contracts, we have templates for smart contracts and so forth. And we provide all the necessary tools to separate on-chain, off-chain data and put them together again to provide infrastructure for signing transactions. So that's not so easy actually. Providing an unsigned transaction, sending it to a device where the private key is stored. Everything that we do is non-custodial. So getting it signed, sending it back, reading a transaction, having event handling back and forth, all different kind of front ends and so forth. Database I already mentioned. What else do we have? Then of course, templates for end user software, so white label applications, white label marketplaces, and so forth. Then we have protocols for swaps that you can use and plug into it. And this makes development much easier. It's like putting together an entire business concept with building blocks rather than, like Lego pieces, right? Rather than starting with the base chemistry and first of all, creating some plastic, whatever, you know what I mean, right? So these are different levels of complexity. We abstract all those difficult processes that are needed to make a business model really work. Whereas the tools from blockchain foundations provide you with everything you need in order to start coding in most cases. So that's the big difference. And it's much easier if something is built on tiers to migrate between blockchains than something that is built just from scratch, custom built. Because if you migrate, then you have to migrate everything. Even write the code again for the new blockchain. And here, something that is built on top is using the same Theos API method. And maybe the one or the other thing looks a little bit different. So in between internet computer and EVM, there are different formats for addresses, but there are not too many different things. So this is a huge benefit. Yep. Sorry, I explained again too long. Any more questions?
Yes, thank you. Do you also address the user interface, or is something to consider after the connection from the API to the blockchain? Or I'm not sure if I'm being clear, but what is
You mean
in the
if we
process
also
of
build
signing,
user interfaces or what?
in the
Yes, we do.
process of signing a transaction, do you handle the connection to for instance, to MetaMask or something?
Actually, we never integrated MetaMask because it was never needed. We built bespoke solutions for the industry, and MetaMask was never a topic. Don't ask me why. We have our own white label or template-based apps for signing. We have Key Vault and Signer service templates that can be adjusted to various use cases. Nobody wants to sit there, and click a button every time. So for industry, you need some automation, but automation comes at a price. You need security and so forth. We build all that, and as I said, we have templates and so forth in order to be faster on the market with it. And this is actually a super delicate topic, signing transactions. So it's super delicate because that's where the UX UI is most important. And therefore, yeah, we spent some of those 15 million on this.
Okay. So thank you. And just one final question, because before I end the session, when can we expect some education agreements so that students can interact with TIOS and start practicing or doing something? Because like doing what the big players do, like Microsoft, you have to give them Windows since they're in the kindergarten. So
Yeah, it's that's a good question. It's a tool, right? So the out-of-the-box software is like you can create a token, you can transfer the token between devices and so forth. That's a bit, it's not boring. It looks good. At least I like it. But in order to shape it, to turn it into something that is the element of a use case, we found out also the hard way, by the way, it always needs some software development. So in theory, yes, we can give you access to the API. So it's a good point. The API is available via Microsoft Azure. So on the marketplace. So there you can just sign up.
Okay.
I hope it's for free. If it's not for free, we can give it for free to you if you're interested. Just send us an email, refer to the webinar here today, and say, Hannes said we can get access.
Once again, I need to thank Johannes for his great presentation and discussion afterwards. It's really nice to hear everyone's experiences. I want to thank all my colleagues at IEEE that made this possible, and the PRR also that is joined on for this webinar. Don't forget, if you want to check these sessions or other things, please look at our LinkedIn webpage. We post everything there. If you want an attendance certificate for the session, we also provide it. Just fill our survey. It doesn't take more than 2 minutes. I've done it. It's not like it says it's going to take 2 minutes and it like takes 20. It only takes 2 minutes. So just leave your email there and your name and you'll get the attendance certificate. We will be posting this session online on IEEE TV and on YouTube after editing and cutting and Johannes approving it. And once again, thank you for your time and collaboration. I hope to see you all in the next section.